Well, Utah gets the style points that they needed, but man, not a great day for the Utes at large chances overall to make the college football playoff. I tell you what, though, Utah just continues to roll people. Baylor, the latest Utah victim. Let's talk about it. Welcome into Open for Business. I am your host, John Kurtz. This is the world's greatest Big 12 podcast and YouTube channel. Please do subscribe and like the video. As you file in here, I know we've all got BYU, TCU to watch, saving the best Big 12 matchup of the day for last. And I'm definitely excited to do that. Just off screen here, I've got my phone with that game up. I will leave you to that in just a moment, but I wanted to give you just a bit of instant reaction here to Utah just walloping Baylor. The game is not technically final right now. There is still a minute 29 left. I hate to do it to you, Baylor, but with the BYU TCU game going on right now, I had to. It's 55-28 Utah. And man, Utah right now has 381 rushing yards, averaging 9.1 yards per rush. And as crazy as it is, like Baylor, this high-flying aerial attack, meanwhile, Utah is the team that is ground and pound. They want to run the football, right? With all of that being said, look at the number of plays in this game. 87 plays run by Baylor, 58 for Utah. 30 more plays run by Baylor tonight. And this is, to me, one of the keys of this game. And just what this has felt like watching it. It's like Baylor just grinding and grinding and trying to get that offense going. And they'll fight and claw and then get just into the game to where you're like, okay, this is kind of interesting. And then pop, 2 plays, 60-plus yard touchdown for Utah. I mean, that's what this game has been. It's just been a barrage of monster plays for Utah throughout the game. They had touchdown runs of 74, 67, 64. They had a 65-yard pick six. They had another interception that got run back nearly for a pick six. I mean, it was just a demolishing of Baylor's run defense, which, that's a whole other topic. Baylor fans, I know that one of the big topics coming out of this is just Dave Aranda's job in general and what happens with that. And it's probably not helped that I know the first punch was really thrown by the Utah defensive back, but you got Baylor players late in the game throwing punches. I mean, just not, on this week of all weeks, it's like just nothing seems to be going very well in Waco right now. But this is all about Utah. Before we get to the bigger picture stuff, which is that besides the obvious 2 results that hurt Utah's at-large chances, I would even say there were like 3 or 4 other games that made it also more difficult. This was not a good day if you're wanting the Big 12 to get multiple teams into the playoff at all. Beyond that, you got to give full credit. I mean, Utah, as far as what they are, they did everything within their power today to get into the college football playoff. This is a style points game. You needed it to be a style points game. It's not even just the score, which, I guess it would be hard to score 55 points and have it not be something that's like fairly aesthetically pleasing and kind of a style point sort of result. But it's the big plays and the way that Utah just totally gashes you on the run and enforces their will, pops massive runs with elite playmaking quarterbacks, mostly the backup in Bird Ficklin in this one, which, that's a guy that looks like a budding star in this league. But also the defense, right? And that's what you think of with Utah, is that a defense is going to fly around and make plays, and they totally did. Took control of this game, grabbed control of this game very early with the 65-yard pick six of Sawyer Robertson on a 3rd down. Just great job sitting at the sticks. It's coming. Bam. There you go. Going the other way. And that's when the game officially started for Baylor, because as we all know, if you watch Baylor games this year, they have trailed by double digits in 6 games. So when they fall behind by 14 points or more, the game officially starts. And it did at that point. They did get their offense going a bit at that point. But I'm impressed, man. I don't know. Utah's a total wrecking ball. They've got just the state of Kansas left to play, K-State and then at KU to end the year. Who's going to raise their hand that they think one of those 2 teams is stopping this Utah team right now. I certainly am not looking forward to watching what's going to happen in Salt Lake next week. Utah they have a more limited box that they have to operate in terms of like game script and what they're going to be. And we've seen that this year when they have been forced to really throw the football, especially like fourth quarter against Texas Tech. Devin Dampier's arm has not been able to do that for them. Today, Devin Dampier's arm didn't do a whole lot, but he didn't need to. He's 6 of 13 for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. Only ran the ball 8 times for 23 yards. I mean, this game's all about Bird Ficklin, really, and Wayshawn Parker obviously was really good too. But like Utah is such a unique thing. Like what they do so well. And if you can't stop it, they will just pummel you with it, just bludgeon you with it. If you can't stop the run, touchdown BYU, by the way, Parker Kingston. But they'll just pummel you with what they're good at. If you can't stop it, they just don't have they don't have a secondary pitch, right? I mean, Utah feels to me like Randy Johnson, like they'll come throwing 102 on the gun with the fastball. I don't know if it's really, I don't think you can say they have like a plus changeup or a curveball or a slide or something, right? It's kind of one pitch, but it's a really damn good pitch. And so if you can't handle it, you're just going to get overpowered. And that's what Utah is doing to people right now. All of a sudden, how crazy is it? I had this thought thinking about the Utah quarterbacks. Like, obviously, we know Devin Dampier, very good quarterback. They're using Bird Ficklin more and more now. They'll use even just some traditional Wildcat also. Like players 2 ways, having to do a little bit now, but they find ways to get creative on offense. But the big problem the last 2 years has been quarterback. And now it's like all of a sudden, hey, here's 2 quarterbacks that you can be really effective with. And you barely have to have them throw the football at all. Though Bird Ficklin did finally throw the ball a little bit today, 2 of 3, 23 yards. So he can do it. But, man, for a true freshman, I mean, that guy definitely looks like the future. I don't know that I've seen a more impressive run this year than the one where he throws that unbelievable stiff arm in the open field. I mean, there was a lot of room to run there, but that did not look like a play that was going to be finished off in the end zone when that started at all. It was just an incredible stiff arm thrown there. So Bird Ficklin's a star in the making. Devin Dampier still has a lot of ability himself to do what Utah needs to do offensively, and then they can also just lean on the defense, which, like I said, Baylor did what Baylor does, Utah rather did what Utah does defensively, which is they're going to play man-to-man. PFF has talked about that throughout the year, that they play more man than basically anybody in the country. So with Baylor and the Baylor offense, they're like, all right, sweet, bet. We'll take our shots one-on-one down the field. And like Baylor hit some, they're going to hit some. Baylor had 563 yards of offense, 430 of that through the air, but it took 58 passing attempts. There were 2 picks. One was run back for a touchdown. The other almost was. And just too many incompletions, man. I mean, it just felt like Sawyer Robertson the whole game was just bite the grenade, throw it, hope for the best. There was a lot of that. There was not nearly enough consistency through all that. There was kind of a sad field goal in there at one point that I disagreed with from Dave Aranda, but they just weren't going to win that game, period. I mean, they were outclassed, and though they do have a pretty explosive passing attack, it was not going to be nearly enough. Speaking of a team that doesn't really have another pitch to go to, really, that was Baylor. Baylor had the downfield passing game, and they were just going to throw it up for grabs all night and hope for the best and see what happened. And they hit some, but not nearly enough, and not nearly with enough consistency. So, congratulations to Utah for the win. Now, the problem is, and it is good, I see you guys talking about Texas. Man, now 35-10 Georgia, Pacific Northwest Ute. I know I need to get to your super chat. 35-10 Georgia. That helps. If Georgia could run up some style points on Texas, that does help the case for Utah, the at-large competition. That will thin that out a bit, though I do still fear, especially after watching Texas A&M today, I do still fear that Texas A&M could lose that game to Texas, right? And it's, It's in Austin. So, yeah, I mean that could still be a problem. Texas at 9-3. You know how much they would love to get that logo in there if they can. But that's really the least of your worries right now. Okay. That's Pacific Northwest Ute. I just saw your chat. Let me get to it in just a moment. I need to save myself for that one. But the problem here is Oklahoma won at Bama. And now Oklahoma, though the schedule a couple weeks ago looked pretty tough coming down the stretch, they have Mizzou and LSU at home to finish the year. LSU has kind of quit on the season, and Mizzou's playing with a third-string quarterback right now. So those games infinitely more winnable, especially in Norman. It feels like Oklahoma's probably going to win out. And even if they finished 1-1 and split, still a shot that they could be in there too. So that Oklahoma win was very important. The most important thing that happened today as it relates to making it tougher for Utah to get an at-large bid is Notre Dame not only winning, but crushing Pitt. They've got Stanford and Syracuse left. They're going to win out. They will be heavy favorites the last 2 weeks of the season. So those are the two headliners that really make it tough. Like Notre Dame is pretty much stamped, and you can more or less put them in the playoff with Penn. What hurts is outside of that, and then the Oklahoma result. You also had, USC was down by 14 against Iowa, and then they scored 19 straight in a driving rainstorm to win that. So back-to-back weeks, Iowa could have helped out the Big 12 a bit. They don't. They cough it up, they choke, they lose those games. USC still in the mix. If they win out, which they've got Oregon left on the schedule, USC is another team that could put themselves in the mix with 2 losses to jump Utah. Michigan, this one may be a bit more far-fetched because they would have to beat Ohio State, but they've beaten them, 5 years in a row? So, I don't know. They still have that mental edge, but Michigan had to kick a game-winning field goal against Northwestern today, right? It looked like Northwestern might have had them beat at one point. That's another team that could be in the mix. Once again, long shot here, but Georgia Tech, who still has Georgia on its schedule, came from multiple scores down at Boston College, who is about as bad as Oklahoma State, came from multiple scores down at Boston College to win. Could be a threat. If they went out, beat Georgia, and then go to the ACC championship game and lose, could be. That one's pretty loose. But then Miami, who jumped up 3 spots last week, Miami blew out NC State today. So it looks like, Miami's not only piling on some style points, but perhaps finding themselves a little bit more. So the point is, it was not the greatest of days. Could have been worse, right? Texas could be beating Georgia, which is not happening at all. Could have been worse, but it was not the greatest of days for Big 12 at-large chances. Utah is kind of at the forefront of that discussion right now. And the early returns on the BYU game are not what Utah fans would want to see for multiple reasons as far as that is concerned. Now, Pacific Northwest Ute, I got to get to this. How many yards was Bird Ficklen's first TD run? About 6-7. That is funny. I rattled off the touchdown runs of 74, 67, and 64. I just breezed right through it and didn't even think about it. Hopefully some kid, let me know in the comments. Found that funny that I talked about a 67-yard Bird Ficklen touchdown run? Please let me know about it in the comments. I know people get annoyed by it. I love the fact that the kids get to enjoy a dumb joke that they all have. We all had those when we were kids, right? I feel like my generation, we had 69, or you would type 8005S on the calculator and turn it upside down. Like, we had our things. I appreciate the kids having their 67 fun. So thank you, Pacific Northwest Ute, and congratulations to your squad on the win. Kenneth. What's up, Kenneth? Kenneth said ECU beating Memphis tonight to go to 7-3 helps BYU. Okay, there you go. Thanks, Kenneth, for the update there and the resume boost. And congrats to ECU, 7-3. Shout out to Sup Dogs in Greenville. I am a one-time patron of that. Okay, that is a quick update here. I think we all want to go watch BYU. I will do a live after that game is done tonight, so you'll get an instant reaction from me on what happens with BYU and TCU, which right now BYU's up 10-0 and a third down for TCU. So it's not looking like a great start for the Horned Frogs here. But we'll evaluate and see where things stand after that, and then have a chance to put my thoughts together some more by the time I give you a show tomorrow. So congratulations to Utah. Enjoy the BYU game, and we'll get to more very soon. Please do like and subscribe, all of those things. Be very helpful. John-Kurtz-4 on Venmo. If you want to leave me a question or comment there, I will talk about it on the next live show. So thank you all for being here. We've got Alan. Alan popping in right before the gun. Thank you, Alan. Alan says, John, does Bama loss put Texas Tech into the number 4 seed? All right, I'm glad you asked about this, Alan, because we haven't talked about Tech because they just destroyed UCF. That game was over very early. Watching Texas get pounded by Georgia and enjoying. Utah is at KU, who will upset the Utes. Jalen Daniels' last shot in Lawrence, a bowl game. All right. Hey, fair enough, Alan. Maybe I shouldn't write off Kansas. A lot of that was my pessimism about the way K-State played today, which was wretched in Stillwater. And, still seemingly every athletic department, coaching staff wanting to throw a party about it, which the coaching staff's a little more understandable. Whatever. I'm very down on what's happening in Manhattan right now. So, Alan, yes, that is fair. That is fair. That could be a little trickier. It's just Utah's either getting beat or they are laying the beat down on somebody. There's no in between. So it's hard for me to see that being a really close game. But we shall see. Now, your question, does Bama losing put Texas Tech into the number 4 seed? Well, I mean, it may put them up to number 5. I would certainly think Alabama drops below Texas Tech. So that helps. You got a bit of a nudge as far as Texas Tech trying to climb up into the top 4 and get a bye, which, as I've said before, as much as we talk about wanting 2 spots, a bye could be equally as impactful or perhaps more impactful depending on what the draw is and how things go for Texas Tech. So, yes, I think it will creep them up to 5. I don't think they're getting to 4. That's where freaking South Carolina kills you, because you did almost have a day in which Texas Tech could have realistically been number 4 had South Carolina won in College Station. After being up 30-3, mind you, yes, that really could have changed where Texas Tech was going to wind up being and given them a legitimate shot at being in that top 4 if they just won out. So I still don't think that would have been guaranteed based on, what other teams would do, and A&M could go win the SEC title game and all of that. But that sucked. That was a bad result for the Big 12 too, that Texas A&M outscored South Carolina 28-0 in the second half. I will say this about Texas Tech's win today. The nice thing about it was that they made such quick work of UCF that Baron Morton only had to play essentially a half, actually a little bit less than a half. And that was when I talked about last week, hey, can you possibly just let Baron Morton sit out and not use him this game and buy some real legitimate extra rest? Although I don't know with the hairline fracture that he reportedly has right now, I don't know if rest really does that much at this point, like other than like a very extended period of rest or a surgery or something. So maybe it doesn't even make that much of a difference. But I was wondering out loud, can you get by with just getting him a couple of extra weeks there? Joey McGuire, I don't think you realistically can, right? Because if you go out and do that and you stumble around and you start losing that game, like imagine the firestorm that would come at you if you just sat Baron Morton through that when he could have actually played. And Baron Morton's not going to want to do that. And what message does that send to your team and all these things? I get it. But he found the best of both worlds, like kind of the best compromise, which is just allow your team to get out there and just start pummeling somebody and then put him on ice. He only has to play a half. Be very early on flipping the game over to Mitch Griffiths. Which, like, when you have 28 points at that point, UCF is not scoring that, okay? UCF, I know, is a little shorthanded. To score. Lean on your defense, get out to an early lead, let Baron Morton rest up, and get on out of there. Now, if we're going to talk about games that could be more interesting than we thought, Texas Tech does have to finish the year at West Virginia, and that was a wild game today. West Virginia playing on the road at Mountain America in Tempe. And again, congrats to Arizona State, who's still very much alive in the Big 12 title race, depending on what happens here the rest of down the stretch. When I did my live reaction video earlier, I did it early enough that game was not finished. So I had to go back and watch the finish of West Virginia and Arizona State, and did. And saw that, man. I mean, West Virginia's got some real gumption to them right now. They're spunky. And you need more than that to beat Texas Tech. Like, it's a totally different type of animal. But in Morgantown, team playing with more confidence, clearly a much better team than they were like a month ago. I'll just throw it out there. It's something to at least pay attention to. Okay. It is something to at least pay attention to. So anyway, thank you, Alan, for getting me down that path. I did forget that I wanted to say something about the Texas Tech game and where that's at. Okay. Alex popping in here. Alex says, admit Arizona wasn't as bad a team as you said in week 3. You look like, ooh, boy, paid $5 to say this. You look like a pompous, traditional Big 12 homer a-hole. Alex, my friend, you seem very offended by this. Well, Alex, you've missed, I don't know, the last like 3 weeks where I've really retracted that statement. You also missed my live stream and video that's posted earlier today that was centered around the Arizona game. So if you want to hear a lot of thoughts about Arizona, you could go check that out from earlier today, posted probably like 3:00 today, something like that. I will say 2 things about it. Well, one, Arizona is much better than I thought they would be. That was an incredibly impressive win at Cincinnati. Noah Fafita, I think right now is the first team all Big 12 quarterback. In fact, I don't know what the competition is now that Brendan Sorsby is finishing the year the way that he is right now. It's an interesting discussion because you just have, Hoover's been inconsistent. Sawyer Robertson's been wildly inconsistent. Baron Morton hasn't been healthy for an entire year. So the way things are breaking, that feels like it's Fafita's for sure to lose. The only thing I would say about that is the point that I would stand by at the time is that of all the bad results that K-State has had this year, and as poorly as they have played, losing to Army, losing to North Dakota, felt like they lost to North Dakota, 2-minute drive to win that game. What's the other really bad one this year? Well, it was the Arizona game. The point is, as poorly as they play today, winning 14-6 in Stillwater. I think the worst game that K-State played all year was the game in Tucson. I don't think Arizona played a very good game in Tucson. I think what Arizona put on the field today is light years ahead of what they did in that game against K-State. I do not think they played like a very good team that day, but they won because K-State was a version of themselves that was about as bad as any Power 4 football team out there in the country right now. But Brent Brennan's done an awesome job. He deserves a lot of credit, and by all accounts, is a great dude who was almost run out of town in year 1. I said earlier today, it's a great lesson in patience with your head coach when nobody wants to have patience right now in a day and age where we're just firing people and giving them $50 million to go away, all these different things. So yeah, I don't know. Have I raved enough about Arizona at this point for, to not be I don't even know I'd love to know what a pompous traditional Big 12 homer a-hole is. I didn't think Big 12 fans had the reputation of being pompous. I feel like Big 12 fans were more like the scrappy, annoying underdog. That's kind of the reputation that we typically get. So, okay. Looks like BYU's driving again. Not looking good for TCU. I'll go get this game fired up from the beginning, get caught up by a little bit after halftime, finish the game with all of you, and we'll come back and finish it off then. So thanks for joining. Appreciate all of you guys. Enjoy BYU TCU, and I will talk to you soon.